Hi, my name is Joey Schneider, and I'll be persuading you today on the Handguns Registration Act of 2019. Now, imagine yourself in your home, asleep, and you wake into the sound of an intruder attempting to get in your house. So, first thing you do is you call the police. The police inform you that they can only get a squad car out to you within 7 minutes. That's a long time. So the first thing you do is you go to your room, barricade yourself, and lock the door. However, the intruder still gets in your house. You hear him running around, and eventually he reaches your door, knocks on it, and you yell to him that the police are coming and that he needs to leave. Now, this does not stop him. He continues to try and get in your house and attempting to try to get in your room. He just starts kicking the door, and eventually he gets in. Now what? You're left at the hands of a criminal holding a firearm, potentially ready to harm you. The Handgun Registration Act of 2019 could help prevent this. Let me tell you why. Now, one of the main arguments against the Handgun Registration Act is that it's going to affect the Second Amendment right for Americans, which is against the Constitution. However, the Handgun Registration Act is in place to help protect the rights of law-abiding citizens, not strip them of them. And let me tell you why. So, the Handgun Registration Act is to be putting in place a background check, as well as a mental health check and new age restriction, as well as you have to be a U.S. citizen to purchase a firearm over the counter. Now, by putting in a background check, it's preventing criminals from previous criminals from purchasing a firearm from over the counter, which is reducing the risk of them reoffending. And by putting in a mental health check, this is preventing the risk of mass shootings, suicides, and anything like school shootings as well. As well as the age restriction is helping reduce the amount of school shootings, because now a 18-year-old who's in high school can no longer go and get a firearm from over the counter or anything as such. And they can't get a firearm, ammunition, anything. And so this reduces the risk drastically of school shootings in both high school and college. And that's a good thing. With these restrictions, this is how they help. The act will prevent federal crime offenders from purchasing a firearm from over the counter, which basically means they can no longer just walk into a store like Cabela's or Shields or something and purchase a gun straight off the rack. Like a handgun sitting in the case, they can't just go purchase one. And the main argument against this is that a criminal can still get their hands on a gun whenever they want, however they want, illegally, pretty much. Which brings me to my next point, is that around 48% of all violent gun crimes are committed with guns that are legally purchased. So they are purchased over the counter. Now, by putting in a background check, we could be potentially reducing the risk of criminals from buying an over-the-counter gun, which reduces the amount of gun crime by 48% potentially. Now, it might not reduce 100% of that 48%. However, it could drastically reduce that risk. And that would reduce the crime rates, as well as potential shootings, and it will help protect U.S. citizens as well. Now, that still leaves that 52%. However, we can't really regulate that because they're illegally purchasing weapons, and no matter how hard we try, there's always going to be a way that someone can still illegally get their hands on a gun. This will reduce the risk this will reduce the amount of criminals entering homes and committing crimes with firearms, allowing for more citizens to protect themselves, as well as be protected and be prevented from being a victim of a crime. Now, the Handgun Registration Act will help protect more U.S. citizens by keeping guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens versus the hands of a criminal, and it will help prevent crimes, as well as prevent people from being violated by a potential gun crime. How this prevent crime and protect citizens from being harmed? simply by reducing the amount of guns owned by people who shouldn't have guns is reducing the risk of people being victimized by a gun crime, as well as being potentially home invaded, robbed, anything of the sorts, shot, you know. And so the risk factor just drops real low. Now, around 45% of all federal offenders reoffend. And so that means that once they get out of federal prison, they are sent back to jail for the same crime that they committed before. And by putting in the background check, they'll no longer be able to purchase a firearm, as well as they're not supposed to, but they will not be able to purchase one anymore, because right now they cannot legally check if they are a federal crime offender before purchasing a firearm. However, now they will be able to put in a background check, so it'll prevent them from getting a gun and potentially doing harm right away. So yeah, the Handgun Registration Act is a great act, and it is in place to help protect our Second Amendment rights as well as protect our citizens of the USA. You know, it's a great act to help prevent crime and keep our rights protected. Right now, there's a lot of stress on the Second Amendment right, and this will help, I believe, will help reduce that stress and help keep our amendment in place for longer. Thank you very much.